Welcome to the Aquatic Morning Show, where the aquarists go to be in the know on your Aquatic Morning Show. And today we have got Miss Lisa Lachri. Did I say the last name right?
Lachri, very close.
That was close. That's not
closer than most.
Butcher somebody's name. I'm good at it. And this lovely lady is an artist by the word artist. She is amazing. Like, we've seen artists, we've had artists on the show, but like, oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Thank you.
And not only that, she's got lots of animals. Lots of them. All right, so before we get into the nitty gritty with all of that, we'll say good morning to everybody that is here already in chat. We've got Monster Fish Gal, Miss Lori, good morning. She's the mod of Best of Mod. Scotty Aquati, good morning. She's throwing out all those links. She knows more of my links than I do. Mark Sterlson, good morning, good to see you. Nirvana Aquatics, good morning. Caleb, good morning. Jez, I'm up early for this. Well, good, I'm glad. Ian, Aikens Nature's Aquariums, happy Friday. You have to clock in. You got to clock in shortly. Nirvana Aquatics. Gotta punch that time clock, huh? Craig's Catfish Cave. Good morning, Craig. He's a new member. Nick Edger. I hope I said that right. Nick Edgar? Maybe it's Edgar.
Edgar, yeah.
Edgar. Sorry for butchering your name. I'm good at it. I'm so sorry. Let's see. The Nano Aquarium Guy. Good morning. B Wizzle. Good morning. Pile Aquatics. Good morning. And we have another new member. Aquanuts. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Here's what we do for new members and super stickers and super chats. If you haven't seen it, just get ready. So thank you. All right, let's see. Vanessa Lucille, good morning. Welcome. Dexter B, good morning. Chris Howell, good morning. Jenna P, good morning. The Blind Fish Keeper, Brandon, good morning. What's going on, ladies? Long time no talk. That's right. Saying hello from Memphis, Tennessee today. Dude, what are you doing up there? You're supposed to be in Florida. What you doing in Tennessee? Aquanuts is Catfish Nation? Okay. Well, good to see you again, Catfish Nation. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. All right. I think I made it to the bottom of chat for the moment. We got 23 watching. We normally have about more than that, half of that come on in as the show goes along. So, Miss Lori, you guys, I met Miss Lori, Lisa here at, I had Miss Lori on the brain, Miss Lisa here at Aquashella, Dallas, and she's a friend of Jerry, Papa Shrimp, and that's actually how I met her. He was like, look, you got to meet this lady. She's amazing. And I was like, okay. Well, he took me over there, and God, I think we talked for an hour just standing there chit-chatting.
I mean, you have corgis, so.
Right. Of
course that was going to happen.
They stay right here under my butt during the stream. I'm sitting in the chair, and they're all up underneath me. But, yes, I have got the corgis, and a lot of people learn me that way. So that's perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. But this lady does art, you guys. And Lisa, what all kinds of art do you do?
I work in most mediums. Not much I don't work in. And okay. I do marine life and surrealism, portraits, photorealism, animal. I do mostly anything related to animals is my big thing.
Awesome. Well, my favorite thing is like on this one that I keep pulling up, which is also, I think, on the thumbnail. This one here, I'm gonna blow it up, you guys, so you can see it. And this is just a postcard, but it's got the lion, but it has for the mane a coral reef. I think that is just, I mean, who'd have thought of that? But that's just amazing. It brings, it brings our mammals in with the sea. I just love it. And then this was the other one that I picked. I love paisley, and I've noticed that a lot of yours, you have like this somewhere in a lot of your stuff. The paisley. I don't know if it's like in a background or like on the side or what, but I love paisley. So that kind of brought me to loving that one too. But and of course it's got the polar bear, which are cute. What is your favorite thing to paint?
Marine life. I would say mostly marine life and birds.
And birds?
Huge fan of painting birds.
What kind of birds do you have? You have birds, right?
Yeah, I've got a canary in here. You may see him fly around. He's usually up higher when he flies, but I've got my canary, I've got chicken, my cockatiel, and my husband has his Indian ringneck and a parrotlet.
Wow. I want birds, but I don't want to clean up after the birds.
Yeah, the canary's the easiest, although I need to clean my blinds today. He's been making a mess with his salad on those. But the canary's not terrible. The other ones, oh my gosh, yeah. And the noise, lots of noise.
Yeah. I had some little bitty finches. I had 2 of them, and they made a mess, and they would never shut up. Never shut up. But I did love them when I did get to keep them.
Yeah.
Lisa is the best. Whoop, whoop. That is Katie Miner. Good morning, Katie. Let's see. The Aquatic Morning Show. Does Lisa ever go to smaller fish events to sell? I imagine she would do well as a vendor at the Keystone Clash.
I do not. Great. I don't travel. I do Aquashella because I'm friends with Sean and George, but that's how I got involved with that. But I don't actually do art shows anymore because I'm so focused on the video aspect. So my primary focus, I'm a YouTuber, so it just getting the art done and the videos, it takes so much, and I don't drive, so there's that. But yeah, traveling, like I have so many animals here to take care of, and getting work done, it's just not practical for me to do most shows. So I do my once a year Aquashella, and yeah, that's it.
Were you at the first Aquashella, Dallas?
Yes.
Yes, I missed you at that one because I've been at all of them. I just didn't. I missed you somehow.
Yeah, that one was odd because they put all of the artists in the back and under the black lights. And so because so many of the artists have the glow in the dark paintings, I do not. So no one stopped and no one saw me because I'm like in this corner. Oh, I was in the corner, but I mean, I was like in the dark, and my work does, like, I have to be in the light for my work to do. So they adjusted after that show and started putting, like, separating the glow in the dark artists from the artists who need light. And that helped. Now people can find us.
Yeah, and Steven said probably traveling with all the inventory's got to be a pain as well.
Oh my gosh, and it's not even worth it. Honestly, I don't make. I spend far more than I make because I go shopping for corals.
Right.
But it's not like it's not. I do it because it's fun, not because I'm making a killing or anything like that.
Right. Now, where do you live?
I'm in Dallas.
You're in
Dallas.
I'm in Dallas. Okay. Not far from me then. Not far from me. So I understand the beginning a vendor and spending more than what you make. But if you were to do any other, or what other ones have you done in the past before you did mostly YouTube and painting?
It's been years. Back when I lived in Southern California, I did a few art shows out there. Okay. But they were art related. It wasn't aquatic or marine related. So.
Yeah. Nirvana says, hey, another Dallas resident. Yes. So explain how you do your art so you mainly sell your art on YouTube?
No, actually, I mainly teach. So I have not pushed the sales side of it as much because I don't have time to ship. Like, it's one of those, do you want to make videos or do you want to pack and ship paintings all day? So I chose the video route, and taking care of my zoo here.
Right.
But it's, I mainly am teaching and doing, like, most of my income comes through Patreon. That's where I've put most of my all of my lessons. So I've got the free stuff on YouTube, and then the paywall, there's over 300 actual lessons. So that's what my main focus is, and then I do a new one every week. So it's like, there's just so much content that I produce for teaching that to sell, like, and I do sell stuff. I just don't, and I need to start. I've got a lot of paintings I need to clear out.
Yeah.
But it's, I definitely focus more on the video aspect and the teaching than I do the sales side.
So it'd make more money is the teaching than the actual.
Yeah. Well, the teaching is, the teaching is consistent. Selling art is, you may or may not get a sale, and it turns out the electric company doesn't like that pay plan. So something more consistent was good in order to pay the bills and buy canary food. The consistency and I love teaching. It's something I've done since 99. So I've been doing it a very long time, and it just something I really do love. So it worked out well.
On Patreon and YouTube, or do you have classes you have at your house?
Yeah, now it's just Patreon and YouTube, but I used to teach in-person classes. It's been I think I stopped doing that in 2016. So,
okay.
Yeah, now I just focus with online.
Is the canary where you could show her?
No, because he's flying around. He's doing laps right now on the sea. Here, hold on. Let me see. I can change the camera angle, but you're going to hit the light behind, so...
Oh, I see. There we go.
Yeah, the cage is back behind there. You can kind of see him hopping around.
Yeah, we can see. Nirvana was like, I want to see the bird. I want to see the bird.
He's so cute. I am in love with that bird. He's newer. I've only had him for maybe a month. I used to have a canary. I've wanted another one since 2015. It's been this ongoing joke because we've got Chicken, my cockatiel, was not supposed to be mine. It was supposed to be my husband's, but he bonded to me. And the ongoing thing is, that's not my chicken. I wanted a canary. So I finally broke down. It was not an impulse buy because I've wanted one for so long and I know birds, but we went in to get bird toys at a place where we got one of our other birds, and Tuna was there and came home with me.
The other bird is named Chicken, and then the canary is named Tuna.
Yes. Everyone should be glad I did not have children.
Oh, Steven said, just subscribe to her channel. Wow, she has quite the following.
Thank you.
How long did it take for you to grow your channel as to what? When did you start YouTubing?
About 2012 is when I started uploading my videos. But yeah, YouTube's not doing well lately. Like, their search function is useless. So you do a search for something, let's say you search acrylic paintings. They're going to show you like the same five every time. One of which drives me crazy because the guy is giving so much misinformation. Like, it's painful, and he ranks. But it's the same stuff. And you can't, like before, you just scroll through hundreds of pages of acrylic painting until you found one you were interested in following that lesson or watching. And you can't do that anymore. Now they're like, nope, you only get to see what we decided you're going to see. Yeah. And I don't think people realize how bad the search function now is on YouTube. So it's very frustrating because while my numbers look good there, my views are not. They're old subscribers, not newer. I can't rank anymore. It is just YouTube has been painful lately.
Yeah, so I agree. Yeah, it has, even in fish. So it kind of reminds me of Google. It reminds me of how, like, if you look up to search something, how Google, it's always seems to be the very top ones are the ones that you see every time. And so it's the same thing with YouTube. That seems like that's how. Well,
I mean, it's the same company, so it makes sense. They're implementing the same techniques. But I've noticed that recently on Google. I was looking for images. I was like I wanted to be inspired by other people doing oil pastels. I recently got a set of those. So I'm doing a search and I'm like, they showed me 25, 50, I don't know what it was. And then that's it. End of results. And it's like, no, that I know for a fact that's not the end of results. That's the end of what you're willing to let me see. So I'm going to need to find a new search engine. But as far as what YouTube is, I don't know what the alternative is, because Rumble is not popular. Although I'm not getting many more views on YouTube at this point. So it's like, where I'm doing better right now, weirdly enough, Instagram Reels than I am on YouTube. which is weird. So
Yeah. What about Facebook Reels?
Facebook is one of the most useless platforms. Their algorithm. So if you have a page, sorry, my eye is just, don't mind me over here. If you have a page on Facebook, you used to reach like 50% of the people who followed you. Mm-hmm. Then they lowered it. Then it was like 30 something percent, then 20, and everyone complained every time. Now I'm like 1%, 1 to 3% of people who follow me might see my stuff unless I pay up the rear. Like, you have to pay so much in order to have your content seen. And it's like, it really hurt artists because we can't afford those. We're not Pepsi. I can't afford those advertising fees. Right. But Facebook is pretty much a useless platform. That's another one people don't realize. They're showing you what they want you. They're showing you what people paid for you to see. They're not showing you what you want to see, what you've chosen to follow. Your own family and friends, unless somebody's having an argument, chances of argument or weddings will post well. Weddings and new babies. But other than that, you don't see, like, their algorithm feeds off negativity and fighting and arguing. And so I avoid Facebook for the most part now because no one's going to see my stuff. I post, and I mean, I've got 30 on Facebook, isn't as much as like 33,000. I think it's 31,000 followers. I might reach 100. Maybe.
Yeah.
Why bother?
Right,
I mean, and not that 100 isn't important, but it's like when you look at how hard we work to build our following on that platform over the years based on what they, you can build your business here. And now it's like, I use it for a few groups and that's it. Other than that, I avoid Facebook.
Right. Now, what about Pinterest? I've heard that Pinterest, like, I didn't even know that Pinterest was started for businesses. Like, it was not started for just to post pictures, which is what I always thought it was. Pictures, but it was actually created for businesses to post their things on.
I have it. I don't post on it often because I've never seen great results from it. But I mean, I have stuff on there. I mainly use it for personal use now, even though it's a business one. I still use it for like saving cool decorations of bathrooms or whatever. Right. But I don't find that Pinterest translates well to getting people to YouTube or getting people to my actual content because people just save the image they saw there. Right. And it seems to be very hard to get them off that platform and onto like where your call to action is.
Unless they click on it and that link takes them to your stuff.
Yeah, but most people don't.
Yeah, but
most people don't click. They just want to see the image and they stay on Pinterest. So I just have not found that to be super useful.
The only thing I find it useful for is finding, like it said, inspiration.
Yes.
That's to me now is better than going through Google.
Yeah.
Pinterest is, and finding stuff like that. Now, what about your Patreon? How's your Patreon doing?
That's doing good, but the problem with Patreon is it is very, very closely tied to how well YouTube is doing. And YouTube for everyone, especially artists. I mean, I think everyone's kind of suffering with it, but artists too. It definitely is down from what it should be. And so you combine that with inflation and it's like, okay, so it costs me more for postage. It costs me more for my email service. It costs me more for everything, our regular, like keeping the lights on, electric. Everything costs more, but I'm not growing enough to make up for that difference. I'm kind of hovering about the same place. And it's not that I can complain about that, but I'm actually gonna have to raise my prices just to cover the cost of everything else having gone up. But it's doing well. And it sounds ridiculous for me to complain because my Patreon does do very well, but it is frustrating that I'm not able to get it to grow because I can't get YouTube to grow at all. Like I cannot reach people on YouTube hardly at all. Well, not like I used to. Like an example, I used to gain about 4,000 subscribers a month. Now 250. In a month. Wow. That is insane. That's not sustainable. And so it's a very frustrating thing. But YouTube and Patreon are so closely tied. If YouTube isn't doing well, I can't find people to show them what I have because I have low cost art lessons. They're only low cost because I can reach so many. But if I can't reach people, it's like, okay, what do you do? I have to keep. If I don't have electricity, I can't make the videos. So it's a whole thing right now.
Right. So when it comes to like members on YouTube to your members on Patreon, do you have the same ones? If they're members on YouTube, are they members on Patreon and vice versa? Or
I don't do a membership on YouTube. I only have the paid option on Patreon is my only like paywall thing. Everything else is free because I can't manage both. I can't do both, and it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense to be just doing the same thing on both places. It's like, just head on over to Patreon and you get your stuff there. I'm also hesitant to put more eggs in the YouTube basket than what's already there, given it's, yeah.
Right. All right, let's see. I'm trying to put your website down, scrolling here.
Just lachri.com is the website itself. Oh, yeah.
Good deal. All right. All
Thank
right. I don't know why our names are not up here like they used to be. I must have done a button. I pushed a button at some point, and with all the new stuff they have on here, and it took our names off.
I like to push the button and mute myself. I'm a pro at that.
For real quick, I'm going to do this right here. Here we go.
Hey, I'm Whip, and I love watching the Aquatic Morning Show. Now, let's get tanked!
Garcia Aquatics here. And guess what, guys? I love watching the Aquatic Morning Show.
What's up, everybody? I love shrimp, and I love watching the Aquatic Morning Show.
All right. I like throwing a little few of those in here now and then. Whip, sorry I missed the celebratory stream, but I did too. I passed out last night. Well, actually, I overheated yesterday, and I ended up coming home early, and I crawled in bed, turned the TV on, crawled in bed, and I slept till 9 o'clock, got up, and then went back to bed and didn't get up until 6 o'clock this morning. So for those in yesterday evening, I'm so sorry I missed your streams. I was just overheated. I overheated, got upset and got overheated, but it happens. It happens. As hot as it is. How bad is it in Dallas right now?
I don't know, because I chosen not to go outside.
Hey, I wish
it's bad enough I'm going to stay here or stay inside in the air conditioning.
Well, I mean, as you can see, I don't have a choice. I have to go outside, and it's turning me another color. But it's
been about 100 on average.
Yeah, we've got we're at least 100, and then with heat index, it's like 100 in the teens, like 150.
Yeah, we're not that bad.
Yeah, it's it's humid, and the humidity is just awful right now over here. So I think that pattern is supposed to change soon, and we'll cool off just a little bit. But you got to cool off until what, August, September. We'll be like this until September at least.
Yeah, we don't get as humid. It decided like it doesn't rain in Texas anymore, or not in Dallas. So we have been in a drought for a couple of years now. So yeah, the humidity has not been an issue.
It goes over Dallas, and then it comes down somewhere around Terrell, like where Jerry is. It comes down, and then it of course knocks us out. But
yeah,
pulverizates us. But let's see, I've decided to order an expensive plant on Monday, and it's a miracle it made it in because of the heat. No, I get it. Yeah, I got I'm keeping my fingers crossed because Eduardo got me one of the mosaic plants and from KJE, and so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it comes in okay because it is so hot. So
yeah, I've got some fish that have been quarantined from Fish Hotel, and they're up in Minnesota, so I'm gonna have to hold off until it cools a little here because it would cook. We overnight the fish, but it'll still it's way too hot right now.
For the freshwater, there's a it's called Vivi, and they have $25 overnight shipping. And so I've got to list a bunch of my guppies on there, like whenever I can get time to do that. But I would still do my guppies, but there are some that that can't take the heat. Can't do it. Like I would probably not do like Corys and stuff like that. They're too cold. It would be too hot for them. It doesn't matter how much ice packs you put in there. I think the ice packs only last just a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb says it's supposed to be 100 today. Yeah. with that's not with the heat index. Caleb is around here with me, so is 3G, and then Stephen and Jenna and Brooklyn. I haven't seen Brooklyn in here yet, but they're down in South Louisiana, and then there's Papa Shrimp, Nirvana, New Local Austin, and Vibes. There's a bunch of people over in your end of the country too. But where do you get, like, I know that you can look at pictures and stuff like that, but I am not very creative. I don't think I'm very creative. But I can look at things and not copy them, but copy them and put my spin on it, I guess. But when it comes to doing like the art that you do, how do you get inspired? How do you it just comes up, you just think of it, or like do you look at things and then like put things together? How does your brain work like that?
Lots of ways. It depends on what it is. So something like the lion that had, oh God, probably 100 different reference photos, 50 reference photos. I don't know. But it's basically a collage. I look at it as a collage. So I knew I wanted the lion. I knew I wanted to start, and I've done this on other subjects as well, where I've embedded, like, I have a zebra with honeycomb embedded in the mane, and that kind of goes down into the zebra stripes. I've done that in a few different things, and it's kind of a collage. So I start with one concept. I'll get an idea in my head, and then I'll use Photoshop to start photoshopping a bunch of stuff together to see if it looks even remotely how I thought it would in my head. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it's like, oh, thank God I tried that in Photoshop before. That went terribly wrong. But yeah, it's a collage of different things that I like, basically. Like that, I think, is probably the easiest way to describe it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've always wondered how, like, some people, I've seen some people, they say they just have the board there and they just go to doing something and then it just turns into something. I'm like, that is so not me. I can't do that.
Yeah, and honestly, there's a lot of, like, misconceptions about art, especially from books and TV. Make it sound like, I hear this all the time in books, and I just like, oh, that's painful. Stop making me roll my eyes. I'm going to pull a muscle. They'll talk about how I started drawing, and then I looked down, and suddenly this image was there, and I didn't know I was doing that.
Bullshit.
Not how it works. So, yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay, then I'm safe to at least say BS. I wasn't sure what I'm allowed to say.
It's okay.
And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, that is not how, like, aren't you supposed to write what you know? You've obviously never drawn, because you don't just suddenly there's an image and, oh my God, now that just, like, the mystery of whatever the story was just came to life on the... So, no, there's a lot of planning that goes involved, and you may sketch things out, but for the most part, like, if an artist is good at photorealism, for the artists who are like, oh, it just happened, okay, if you're abstract, fine, because it's abstract. But if you're doing realism, if you're doing photorealism, there is planning involved, there is being aware of what you're doing, there's research, and this is one of the things that a lot of people don't really, the more I talk, the more Tuna thinks he needs to sing back. But a lot of people think that with art, you do it from your head. The really good artists just draw from their head, and that is the exact opposite. The really bad artists just draw from their head. The good artists are getting reference photos. They're either drawing from life or they're drawing from reference photos. Pick one. It's one or the other. Yeah. We don't draw from memory, and there's like those inspirational videos where they took this kid up into a helicopter and he saw New York and he went and drew it all from memory, and it was so exact. BS. Yeah. That didn't happen. You are making up stories to get views. I mean, it's YouTube, so of course that's what you're doing. Right. But it's like, it's very frustrating, because I think that holds back other artists from wanting to try art, because they feel like, well, I can't just draw from my head. I can't do that. Therefore, I can't be an artist. Like, that doesn't happen. That's not how art works. Art's actually very, if you know the steps to go through, anybody can do it. But there's just so much misconception of just being able to draw from your head. And like I said, people are like, well, I can't do that, therefore I'm not going to be a good artist. And that's just not the case. Yeah. You get a reference photo, you learn how to copy what you see, and then you evolve from there. You
put your spin on it, your thing.
Exactly. And that comes usually if you're doing, like, let's say surrealism. You're going to start by just finding a photo of a bird you like and learning how to draw that accurately, learning how to copy that accurately. And eventually you'll get to the point where you'll start putting your own style, your own spin on it. But you start by learning to do it accurately first, and then you move on from there.
Yeah. I used to draw when I was young, and I had all this spare time. I used to could draw, and I would take a picture like Disney photos and I have a coloring book, and they would say this small, and I could blow them up to this size and it'd be exact, but I can't do it. Can't do it. This as old as I am now, I can't do it. I mean, but that's not to say that if I had time to practice doing it,
Yeah.
I, couldn't. I've always wanted to do art. I've always wanted to paint that and play the piano. I don't know why. I always wanted to do those two. But, I think like everything else, it takes practice. You don't just up in one day, unless you're that one weird special person in life that it does just come to them naturally, but that does not like the norm.
It doesn't exist. That's a fallacy. That's
Really?
not true either. And that's something that people think, oh, it's your God-given talent. It's I practice talent.
Yeah.
And I'm not discounting what God can do. Like I'm Christian,
Yeah.
so people, I don't want to offend anybody with that,
Right.
like saying God can't do, but that's not how it works. You don't get bonked on the head with magic fairy dust. You're an artist. No, you learn. You start from zero.
Yeah.
We all start from zero, and you put in the work to learn how to do it. But what happens a lot of times, people, it appears like suddenly this artist is really good. What you're not seeing is behind the scenes. That artist spent years and years and years drawing while other people were going to the movies or hanging out with friends. They're sitting there sketching and drawing constantly.
Yeah, right.
And we don't see that. We just assume that, oh, you were just instantly good. No one's just instantly good. That doesn't happen. Some people, it appears that they get better faster than others, sure. But they're probably drawing more than others. They're practicing more.
Yeah.
So it's not, there's nobody who's just instantly good. And somebody will always be like, no, I read this one story once, or I knew this one person. There was more happening behind the scenes than what they're telling you, because the behind the scenes doesn't make for the good story. They want to be like, oh, look, this 6-year-old was instantly good. Her parents were artists and had her playing with paint since she was a toddler. Like, there's always more to that story than what they're telling you. So it's anybody can become an artist with enough practice and time.
Right. Except now abstract's a little different story though, right? It's
I mean, you can climb around with paint on your knees on a canvas and it's abstract. So
it's like
that's rude.
One painting with a brush that just went up with one color, and then all of a sudden that artist was like huge, and I'm like, but I could do that.
But here's the thing. I will say, as much as I joke about abstract, there is a very big difference between good abstract that has a very good understanding where that artist understands color, balance, like they have an understanding of certain concepts with art. It's not as simple. Like I joke, oh, you painted that with your knees. Somebody who is actually good at creating visually appealing, and I don't mean the single brush stroke, but like good at abstract art, that there is a skill in that. So I don't want to, I make a lot of jokes, but the reality is, to be good at abstract, there is a skill and a talent in that. And too many people are like, look, I made 2 brush strokes, I'm an abstract artist. I mean, technically, yes, you're an abstract artist. You're just not a good one.
Yep. Real quick, we've got a 99-cent super sticker from Garcia Aquatics. Let's see. Here we go. Thank you so much, Garcia. You're the best. We got Kelly Foreman has made her way in a line B. Some new names in here. Thanks for coming. And then, let's see. Miss Patty. Good morning, Miss Patty. Patty's Petite Tanks. And Art of Joseph Fincham. Dude, I'm sorry I'm butchering the name, but thank you. Thanks for being here. Dexter B, good morning. Thanks for coming. Tired of taking local classes, and they shared 0 techniques. Lisa's classes are rich in technique and tips. She is a fantastic instructor. Woo! Might have to do that one day when I have nothing. I can slow down and do it. Bionic Bigfoot, good morning. Nick says talent is just a deep interest taken to a practical level through lots of practice. That's very deep.
It's also true.
Yeah. Benoski Fish Koto, good morning. No, I don't know. I have a banana I can take to a wall. Art.
Okay, so that type of art is basically just it's a tax scam. That's all that art is. Like, there's art, and then here is a way to get around paying taxes, but like that, that high. It's not art. It genuinely is. Like, people are able to avoid taxes because there's a different tax setup with art than there is other things, so they can pay for it. Yeah, there's some shady stuff going on that I call tax fraud, but apparently it's not with that art of bananas taped to a wall, or yeah, that's a thing.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that? Like, a
Didn't know
lot of
that.
yeah, so a lot of the art that we see that is like, it could be in a museum or an art show, and they're like, it sold for $2 million, and it was, I don't even know what the banana sold for, but someone literally took a banana, duct taped that crap to a wall, and was like, give me millions, and somebody did. It's money laundering, essentially. So that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, and the banana one specifically, I don't know the details of it, but this is a known thing that happens with a lot of that not art. That is, you're like, why would someone pay that? Because they're laundering money. Like, it is a way to avoid taxes. It's a way to move money around with that. Yes, it's a very shady thing. Yeah.
And wow.
Nick, how archival is the banana?
Right, I never would have thought that.
Yeah, and you'll have actually rich people who at the end of the year, because of the way tax write-offs and stuff go, and this isn't money laundering, it's just what they'll do. They will buy an overpriced piece of art because they have to spend a certain amount to hit certain tax brackets, all that. And so end of the year, they're out there trying to buy overpriced art. Not my art, because mine isn't going to help them with the tax stuff. Mine isn't that expensive, but they want to go spend millions. I'm doing this wrong, apparently, but yeah.
Yeah, oh my gosh, if it... that's crazy. I've never, man, I need to start doing art.
Right? But you have to sell it. Like, this is the problem. You have to only have art available for the millions, and you've got to get your foot into the door of those people. If you're selling art that people can afford, like normal people can afford to buy, the people who want to spend millions aren't going to buy from you because it's not of value enough, because you also sell.
You're not somebody.
At reasonable prices. So it's like, which route do you want to go?
Right. And that one that you sell for millions or whatever, it won't last you forever. And then when you go to do the second one, it won't sell.
And you got to know the right people for that to need their money washed.
Wow. Well, let's see, we are at 40 minutes. I wanted to talk about animals when we came back, but we can go ahead and start and then break it up with mid-morning break. So, Lisa, you have how many aquariums?
I've got my main display tank, my reef tank, and then I call them support. Like, I don't say, oh, I've got 3 reef tanks. I mean, technically I do, but one is for quarantining coral and inverts, and then the other is for observation. So I get my fish from a quarantine vendor, but I still put them in observation for a month. It lets them kind of relax, not be picked on by other fish, and also just in case something slipped through quarantine, which I've never had happen with a good vendor. There are bad vendors that claim to quarantine. That's a whole other nightmare we can talk about. But if you go through a good vendor, I've never had anything slip through, but just because I'm paranoid, they all go into the observation tank. So technically 3 reef tanks, but 2 are just support tanks. And then I've got 1 small planted, it's a 7-gallon beta tank.
Okay.
So 1 freshwater.
Yeah, 1 freshwater. That's okay. I had a saltwater as of like a few months ago. And then I just got to a point where I couldn't get rid of the red algae. So
cyanobacteria?
Yeah. And I was not... I wasn't up for spending all the money on it, so I decided to turn it into a freshwater, and it has saved me so much money.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like, saltwater is definitely, it's not like, I remember back in the 90s was when I initially got my first tanks, and I remember thinking, well, I just want to have clownfish. I want to have, I wanted to have them, and it's like, no, the tank has me. Like, when you really get into it, you are its employee. That spends money to work for it. Right. But it is certainly, and once you get used to it, I've got my regular maintenance, like, it's not that bad, but when something goes wrong, oh dear God, that's where it can certainly be very stressful.
Yeah, but it's, oh my gosh, when you go to just like Aquashella, and you go and you see all the corals, and you see the clownfish, and you see all the just stuff. It makes you want it so bad. that.
I love it, but I also question my sanity regularly. So I had saltwater fish. I started in 95 and that was before the internet. So you didn't have a lot of there was kind of internet, but not really.
Yeah.
You couldn't get a lot of information. So when something was going wrong, it was like, trial and error. But I kept that tank until about 2005, 2006, right around there. And tuna's flying around again. But when I got out of it, when I was moving, so I couldn't bring the tank with me, I was like, I'm just done. I'm absolutely done. I am never getting a saltwater tank again. And I always said, unless I can afford for someone else to pay to take care of it for me. What I wasn't thinking about at the time was if somebody else is taking care of it, like it doesn't work. There are people that do maintenance, but for what I wanted, it wouldn't work super well anyway, even if I could afford that. But, and then you don't learn, like it's a hobby. You're really into you're going to learn a lot. You have to learn a lot. But when I got back into it, ever since, I'm like, what was I thinking? I swore I would never do this again. It's 2019. Yep. I was actually going to get a beta tank. I went into the store. I'm like, I really wanted a planted beta tank. And they had an already set up little nano tank, a 13.5-gallon nano, which is actually sitting over here. It's my coral quarantine now. But they had it set up. It had clownfish in it. It was actually my first introduction to fish disease. Yeah, that was fun. Brooklinella and velvet. Mine were Brooklinella. Like those were not things when I kept fish before. Now it's a death sentence for the fish. Yeah. So you can treat them, but back then I didn't know that. Anyway, moral of the story is that's how I got into like the fish health side of things and being obsessed with like learning everything I could find about parasites and all of that. And then quickly learned it's just better to find a good quarantine vendor because, oh my gosh, quarantining your own fish is a whole other thing. But I did it once. I really don't want to have to do that again. But now I wanted to stay small. I did like the 13.5-gallon is actually a nice size, especially to get started. And they always say go bigger. Right. But the problem is when you go bigger and something goes wrong, you've got that much bigger of a problem. If you've got a smaller tank, like having the Brooklinella, it was a few clownfish. There were the idiots that sold it to me sold it with 4 clownfish. I'm like, no, they're captive bred now, so it's different than when you used to keep them, and they'll all be fine together. Yeah, they wouldn't have anyway. They would have killed each other. So bad advice. I should have researched, but I'm thinking, I had it before. I know enough. No, I did not. Things changed. But actually, they didn't change. Don't put 4 clownfish together in one tiny tank. But live and learn. So that's what got me into it, though. And now I've got, Sean decided with Aquashella, he decided when I set up the new tank, I'm like, 20-gallon or 30. I just wanted something bigger for the 2 clownfish I had. Yeah. And he's like, no, you want this. So now I have the 83-gallon display, which isn't huge in the world of saltwater. But when something like when I was dealing with Bryopsis or different like nuisance algae, it's a lot more work to take care of than it would have been had that happened in the little tank. So I actually really am a fan of the little tanks for people getting started and trying things out. That 13.5-gallon, it's a Fluval Evo. Yeah. It's a solid tank. Like it has the light. You'd have to do a lot of upgrades if you're going to grow the fancier coral. But for soft coral to get started, that tank is fine. Yeah. I like nano, definitely. I mean, I don't have anything higher than a 40. And when I did the saltwater, it was a 40. And I brought everything from Florida. So I thought I was like ahead of the game here because I even had the water, the sand, had everything. And I was running it with 2 hang-on back filters, and actually everything was going great until I decided to move it. And when I moved it, and it was a dry wet system, so it kind of had a sump and everything, then I started having issues, and I'm like, but this was supposed to be better. And it's the same size and it's the same sand. It's why? And so anyway, I put up with it for long enough, and when I did have it and it was doing good, I did love it. Yeah. I loved it. I loved my clownfish and the shrimp. Jerry said you have a sexy shrimp tank. Yes, I've got in my coral quarantine tank, I've got my 2 cleaners, and then I've also got a bunch of, I don't even know how many are in there right now, but I've got the sexy shrimp, and they are the cutest little guys. They're so adorable. Yeah, I almost bought one of those, but there was something I had would eat them, so I didn't. Any fish, no fish go with them. Like they're too tiny that, and they're so small that if your fish tank is big enough for fish, it's probably bigger than you want. Yeah, you're just not going to see the sexy shrimp. But I've got them on some rock flower anemones they like to hang out on. Oh, Bunny Viper, good morning, and Alishon, good morning. They were talking about the banana and it rotten and what happens after it rots. Money's already been laundered, so you're all set. I guess that, yeah. And then Alan B,
As we seen that Azure earlier, Nirvana says, I have a 12-gallon tank I plan to use for my first saltwater, and I think it will be perfect. 12-gallon. Oh, no.
It works. Here's the thing to know. I'm sorry?
12 and a half gallon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I do want to warn you. A lot of these groups do not, like, if you want to learn about fish or saltwater, go to humble.fish. Best forum, most knowledgeable people. That's where you want to learn. Do not try to learn about saltwater on Facebook. Those people are idiots. Oh my God. I take screenshots constantly because it's hilarious. It's hilarious, but it's also frustrating because it's like, okay, you're hurting animals. So that part's not funny. But it's just like some of the stuff people are like, here, can somebody ID this for me? And you get 50 different incorrect IDs and it's the most simple, like obviously that's Aptasia. Or they'll say everything's Aptasia when it's not, because that's usually the answer. And it's just like, stop answering when you don't know. That is what Facebook people do. They're like, I just have to talk even if I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. So go to humble.fish, favorite forum. That is where you're going to learn the most. Very, very like very knowledgeable people. But one of the things that happens with the 12 and a half gallon, people think that a lot of fish are nano fish with saltwater that are just not. So a 12 and a half gallon, I would actually go with like clown gobies. Get a green and maybe a citron or a yellow clown goby would work. Like small fish, a lot of these fish, when you go to the fish store, they're small. They get big. They do not stay that small. Like I keep seeing people put a Royal Gromma in the 13 and a half gallon nano. The Royal Grommas, that fish gets big. Mine is a monster. And it's like, even in the 83 gallon, I'm like, dude, you're getting kind of big in there. Those fish most saltwater fish that you like shouldn't be in the 12. So as much as I say I like the nano tanks, be aware of what is an actual nano fish and what isn't, because even the clownfish, yes, could a clownfish be in that size? Yes, but should it be there long-term? No, because the clownfish can get big too. I mean, a female, Ocellaris, I mean, I saw one recently that was a monster. They get big, too big for that size tank. So you've got the biolodoshue, and you've also got the fish just doesn't have a lot of room to swim. Can they live in that size? Yes, but my dog could also technically live in a closet. That doesn't mean he should. So you want to think about the size of the fish, and do not listen to your local fish store. Oh my gosh. There are very few. There's one locally, Aqua Studios is really close to me. They're in the Colony, Texas. If you're North Texas, I love them. But they'll give you good information. Talk to Corey or Brandon. You will get great information. Probably the other guys too. I just know those two the best. But for the most part, most of these stores, they only care about selling you the fish. Sure, 4 clownfish in that little thing will be fine. I mean, they'll kill each other, but they'll be fine. You already paid us the money. They're so shady, a lot of them and maybe not they're trying to be shady. Maybe they just don't know. But do not trust your local fish stores to give you the information you need to know if you're going to get started in reef keeping. Humble.fish is like my top recommendation. BRS videos on YouTube, they've got a lot of good stuff. They've got a lot, I mean, obviously they're selling products, but you can get a lot of good information from them too. But yeah, there are some questionable things that and that's, I think, what's frustrating to me, because a lot of this misinformation, whether it be from a local fish store and I'm not saying don't support your local fish store. I'm just saying don't listen to everything they have to say. Some of them will be great and they'll sound knowledgeable, but they're not forfeit clowns in a nano. But
they're trying to sell fish.
They're trying to sell fish, but look into that. And I think when somebody gets set up or they're getting into this, it's very frustrating when they're just given a lot of bad information. The other thing that they'll do, and this is true with local fish stores, but you'll have this online as well on some of the bad forums or Facebook, where somebody's like, okay, I've got cyanobacteria, and they're like, just dump ChemiClean in your tank. Okay, so you've now solved your cyanobacteria because you went the chemical route. You've solved the cyano, but you now have another problem. You've got Dinostar. You've got things that are like major issues, way worse than cyano. They just make one mediocre problem. They make it worse and worse. And now dump this chemical. And it's like you're not solving anything. You're making it worse. And then the person gives up, gets out of the hobby because they were given so much bad information on a problem that was actually fairly simple to solve. So that is, and
that's what I ended up doing.
Hold on one second. My microphone or my earbud, you're going to get, actually, if I set this up, you had something you wanted to play in the middle? Maybe do that now while I figure out my...
Sure, yeah, we can do the mid-morning break.
Yeah, I've got to figure out what just happened to my connection. Just dropped.
Yeah, you can do that. Let's see. I didn't have figured out what I was going to play yet. Let me see. Why did it not... Oh...
may just switch this way.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. And now I just got it going. Okay. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and take mid-morning break early. So you guys know what this is. If you don't, we take about a 3-minute break here in the middle. We're going to go refill your coffee, run to the bathroom, whatever you need to do. And we'll be right back.
Are you ready, Steven? Kenny? Greg? Okay. All right, fish fam. Let's go! Oh, it's been getting so hard living with you floating in my tank. I can't. You're blocking all the light out, and now my stems are starting to turn red. I see you plant in the back. As a matter of fact, it used to be as red as the sun. And the cringe in the corner that no one ignores, 'cause it's that pink flamingo one. Oh yeah, it keeps sickening. It's so sickening. So it's time to get moving, or the plant's gonna be losing. The plant in the back is starting to divide, so you better do the dog dance. And the cream in the corner is melting, and the water, so it's time to do the dog dance. Dog dance. Dog dance. Dog dance. Dog dance. Oh, I'm reaching in for something, but duckweed is all I seem to find. Oh, and all it takes is one piece, and then it's super mega multiplied. And the plant in the back is bent with a crack. I think that it just might die. And the crit in the corner is already a mortar. It melted right before my eyes. Oh, yeah, I was so hectic. I'm feeding my septic. I'm hardly breathing. So this duckweed is leaving. The plant in the back is starting in the black, so you better do the duckweed dance. And the cream in the corner is melting, and I'm wanna go inside to do the duckweed dance. Duckweed dance, 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 dance. Oh, yeah, it keeps sickening. It's so sickening. So it's time to get moving, or the plant's gonna be losing. The plant in the back is starting in the black, so you better do the duckweed dance. And the cream in the corner is melting, and I'm wondering, so it's time to do the duckweed dance. Duckweed dance. Duckweed dance. Duckweed dance. Duckweed dance. Dance, dance, a duckweed dance. Dance, dance, a duckweed dance. Dance, dance, a duckweed dance. Yeah, duckweed dance.
shell. All I need is a guardian. Looking through the glass, my armor is scarred again. Facing all life's mysteries, I will survive and thrive. More than just a snail, I'll prevail. I'm not just for cleaning up your mess. I am a snail. I am a snail. I am a snail. I am a snail. Color morphs all around. You won't see me backing down. Mysteries are in my shell, miss I wish to be dispelled. I am more than just a pet, I'm the snail you can't forget.
We're in need of a guardian with the key to the water that's got the golden parameters full of calcium carbonate. But to get to the heart of it, this is only a small part. Our lyrics were designed to help you nail it from the start. Don't treat us like janitors, poor nutrition won't manage us. All those amateurs thinking that these conditions won't damage us. Bringing up the heat so we breathe like carousels. It's an endless wave, another clutch of jades. She'll be parasnail into a grave. Purple or magenta, black or brown, we breathe and true. But none of that matters if we're battered down and feeling blue. We die if we dry like chestnuts roasting on an open fire. So keep that lid on tight to save us from our own desire. Looking up at you as our guardian in that ivory tower, imparting your knowledge and giving you that unbridled power. You decide and guide if we'll survive and surely thrive. Or am I just another snail trying to stay alive?
I am a snail. I am a snail. I am a snail. I am a
Nailed it.
right. Yeah, now we dance, right, Patty? So we do that for the members, the 3 different levels. So thank you guys for those who are members. We greatly appreciate it. And we do have members only streams every now and then, normally on Wednesdays, but I wasn't able to do that this week. But maybe over the weekend, or maybe, well, we've got what holiday's coming up? 4th of July, Tuesday, right? Yeah. So maybe we'll do something extra then. Even though I will be streaming in the morning, we might do something extra 4th of July. Anyway, all right. Now, I said we were going to get into Miss Lisa's pets because she's got a list of them, not just including the fish tanks. So, Miss Lisa, I'm going to let you start with the next pet you own.
So my next, is audio working okay?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, making sure I had everything right now. But the next group would be my frogs. So I actually, at Aquashella, the first Aquashella in Dallas, I saw that they had, and I paint these guys all the time, they had red-eyed tree frogs. Somebody had those there. I was like, I didn't know you could keep them as pets. I'd had white tree frogs in the past, but not those guys. And so that was one of my goals. When we got a house, I was going to set up a big vivarium. I was going to have 1 fish tank, and I was going to have 1 vivarium with tree frogs. Now I've got, 4 tanks total, and 2 tree frog vivariums and 2 dart frog vivariums. So I've got my red-eyed tree frogs. I've got let's see if I can make a long story very short. I ended up getting some frogs, and we did not know, because for some reason when it comes to amphibians, people do not talk about the parasite issue with these guys. They all have it. 9 out of 10 had nematodes. 4 out of those 10.
Wait. Hold on. Frogs have nematodes?
Yeah, they get internal, and it'll kill them. It's an issue, so you have to deworm them. With nematodes, we deworm them with like Panicure or levomycin. The problem with levomycin, that actually overdosed one of mine, and so one of my frogs is now a special needs girl. It caused a neurological disorder, so she should have died because she can't feed herself. And frogs, if it doesn't move, they won't eat. And she's not the type. Some frogs you can hold moving food in front of them and they'll eat it. Yeah. Red-eyed tree frogs will not. They're very picky. They're very sensitive to stuff. So I got a crash course in parasites, but I also, watching this little frog starve because she was a baby at the time. I mean, it was heartbreaking. So I was like, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to take my old expired Costco card. I'm going to try to shove crickets into her mouth. And I was able to do it. And now every 3 days I force feed. It's been 2 years. She should have died 2 years ago, but she's on my logo for everything now, glitch. Because there's a glitch in her little matrix for sure. She'll want to jump one direction, like she'll be ready to go after the food, and she bolts that way. Oh, so she can't control which way she goes, so she can't catch the food. She wants to eat, and that was the sad thing, watching her want to eat. And she does the typical thing you'll see with like dogs with neurological disorders where they'll walk in circles, and she'll do that. She's very wobbly, but she's active. She lives a good life. Everything else about her is normal. She takes her baths like normal, but a breeder gave me another disabled. I say disabled. His front legs didn't grow like they should, so he's kind of back here. He's her buddy. So those two are in my special needs, I call it vivarium, in my office. They're actually, you can see right up there. Aww. And then I've got the healthy bunch. They also had worms, but I was able to take care of it on all of them.
Did you buy them already adult frogs, or did you raise them in house?
2, Glitch and her sister's in the other vivarium. Those 2 were tiny babies. The others were all the others adults? One, Glitch's buddy was baby too when I got him. He was not as young as she was. And then 2 of them my other males are adults. I've got an albino and a purple.
They had them. How did you find out they had them?
So I could tell. I ordered the first 4 from Josh's Frogs, and people that's what they always say. If they're captive bred, so Josh's Frogs would be captive bred, then they will not have parasites. That's not true. They get the parasites from crickets, but they have to eat crickets. So you're constantly going to have to. I now do fecal tests on them about once a year to make sure everything's clean.
See,
but
they got milk frogs, and
you need to do fecals on them.
And I've lost 4 of them.
Do a fecal. I guarantee you it's parasite. Your 2 things that are going to take out a frog, parasites, bacterial. That's pretty much the main. It is rare for it to be anything but those 2 causes.
How do you just take their poop to the vet or something? Yeah,
you can take it to the vet. Most vets, I don't know how it is in Louisiana. Here, they're required to see the frog. So I had to bring one with me just so they could see it, but then I could bring in the fecals. I actually do fecal tests myself now. I got the microscope, learned how to do it so that I can just check whenever I want to, because I had a really hard time curing one of them. Nothing was working. I finally got him cured.
Well, how
but
do you do
he's
it? Like, how do you feed them the food? Surely you got to feed it to
you
them, huh?
you dust the crickets. So if the frog is eating,
Oh,
you
you
can
dust
dust the
it.
crickets. But
Okay.
red-eyed tree frogs don't eat consistently enough. Like if I put food in there, they may not eat for 3 days. So that's normal for the frog. It's not an unhealthy thing. That's just normal. So I force feed them, and I pop the mouth open with a card. And a frog that is sick and a frog that does not want to eat, it is a pain. Glitch is easy. Glitch wants to eat, so she's not a problem to feed. But it's a challenge. But I can take a video for you if you end up needing to treat them and see how to force feed.
I think
so you can
I
be sure they
should.
get it every day.
I mean, if they get them from the crickets, I mean, I buy my crickets. You know, they come in those red cans, but I've lost, well, 2 of them I lost because of the heat and the last storm we had and no electricity.
Yeah.
It got too hot for the milk frogs, and I lost 2 because of the heat. There was nothing I could do about it.
Yeah.
But before that, I lost 2 for no reason. I mean, we didn't know why. They were healthy and had been healthy, and then all
Do
of
a
a sudden,
fecal.
they just slowly, after like 3 or 4 days, just stopped moving.
Yeah, do fecal or bacterial. But bacterial, you can usually, if it's external, you can usually sell. Milk frog may be more difficult. With a red-eyed tree frog, it's very easy to see the discoloration on the skin. But yeah, it is so common and no one talks about it. I mean, with fish,
I've never heard
we
it.
talk
Never
about
heard
it. Yeah. And with fish,
heard it.
all the diseases, all the treatments
with
we
the
have,
fish. Yeah.
it's a normal thing. But
Right.
for some reason with frogs, no one wants to talk about it. No, and people act like in these groups on Facebook, somebody will post that their frog has a symptom, and you'll tell them it's parasites. You need to, oh no, it's fine. They were captive bred. They dismiss it completely. And then when the frog dies, I did everything possible to try to save them. I'm so heartbroken, except you didn't. You didn't do the one thing you needed to do, because it is so common with these guys. And all of your frogs. I mean, this is a very, very common thing.
Wow.
Reptiles, people understand you get parasites with the reptiles. I don't know why with frogs. No one wants to talk about it. So yeah, anyway, I got a crash course in that. And I do a fecal test once a year on them. Actually, it's about time for me to do another one. And yeah, that's those guys. And then I have my dart frogs. I've got these 3 Santa Isabels, 2 males and a female, and they are loud. They're as loud as the canary easily. They're so cute. They sound like crickets on crack. But I love their chirping. So I've got them, and then I've got my leucomelas, which are the bumblebee dart frogs, because I love bees. So I had to do those. And now I have a lot of vivariums.
Yeah.
So, and then I've got my 2 greyhounds.
I bought one, and I hadn't gotten to do it yet, but it's got a 10-gallon aquarium at the bottom of it. And so milk frogs like to get in water. You just have to make sure that when they're of age and they can get in and out of it, no problem. So I bought the one that has the 10-gallon aquarium you make at the bottom. And then they have, 4 foot of room above them, you know, to climb on. At Aquatic, I bought the wood that I want to go in it, which is really tall. But it fits in it just perfectly from the water. Looks like a stump all the way up. And I can't wait to freaking get to work on it.
I will warn you, as cool as the poldariums are, the frogs, they use water. They don't drink water. It soaks through their skin, but they also use it as a bathroom. So that water, if it is not kept pristine, like I change my water on my frogs every single night. And if it's not kept pristine, chances of causing a bacterial infection are very, very high, because they are prone to it. So just be aware of that going into it. I mean, people do it. It can be done. You just have to be careful of that.
So with bacterial infections, what do you do? How do you?
And a different type of medication. So you either do a soak. Usually, my experience, once the frog has a bacterial infection, game over. It takes over so quick. Well, but I'm dealing with red-eyed tree frogs, which are more sensitive. Some of the other ones are a little bit hard. Milk frogs tend to be a bit more hardy than a red-eye. So I've had 2. I lost. Wait, is it 2? 1. 1 was bacterial. 2. No, 1 was parasites. I thought it was bacterial, but it ended up being, that's before I knew he had parasites too. But they'll get discoloration on their skin. And the second you see that, where on a red-eyed tree frog, they'll have like these bright lime green against the darker green, and you can tell it's not the normal change in color. So you'll do a soak in water. And it's a bath basically for, I forget, I want to say I was doing it 30 minutes. And then you can keep the tank sterilized when you put them, you sterilize it in between. But I'd have to look up the details of all of that. There's a JJ the Frog Girl on YouTube. She's got videos showing you how to do it. She's actually the breeder I go with now with my red-eye tree frogs. So
is she an older woman? Well, not older woman, but I don't know.
She's not a kid. Blonde lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's excellent. I love her.
When she does her videos, she's got a table in front of her. She's got several different kinds of frogs.
Yeah, she has several different types of frogs. I've not seen her stuff in a while, so I don't remember. But yeah, I try not to watch too often or I'll want more frogs. And
I know.
I've hit my limit.
I want more. I love the milk frogs. So I got the milk frogs, raised them from tadpoles. And then I want more. I almost, other than my guppies, I want more frogs. And I was like, never in my life did I think I was going to, why would I keep tree frogs? Why? I know I love them.
I know. That's me. I wanted one, and now I've got all these vivariums. And dart frogs. I was never into dart frogs. That was an accident, too. I got one of those Oase, the bio. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, don't buy those, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Pieces of crap. Overpriced pieces of crap. Like, they're so expensive, and it's cheap plastic that scratches when you look at it. Bio crap. What are those called? Somebody look that up for me. Yeah. But they, mine actually today, again, I have it. I moved it into my bedroom because it doesn't stay looking nice. Like, you get a nice glass, like Exoterra. You can replace parts as needed. If a light goes out, you have so much control. You have no control of these. You can't even control the lights. It's a 12-hour on-off cycle, and you plug it in, and that's when the 12 hours starts. So you lose power, it resets every time. No. And mine decided to come on at 2 a.m, lighting up the room like the sun. And it is just the most, and it randomly, like, it should have come on at 9, and it randomly will change its mind. Like, nah, I think I'm going to change my schedule. It is and parts of it don't work anymore. The misting feature that was so cool, that did not last long. Like, it is the biggest piece of crap, difficult to clean. Anyway, when I got fungus gnats, somebody's like, oh, you should get a tiny, tiny dart frog, one of the little, like the thumbnails. And so the Santa Isabel's not a thumbnail, but close. It's one of the smaller ones. So I got him, and then I did more research and realized he really should be in a better, this isn't the best setup for him. So I upgraded him and got him a couple buddies. But that's how that wasn't even supposed to happen. I wanted this cool thing I saw at Aquashella, and it turned out to be a big piece of crap, and I didn't even need him to take care of the fungus gnats. I needed to learn how to take care of vivariums, and that's the don't buy that item story. Those are just, oh my God, so expensive and absolute crap.
ABC Aquatic Biotope Creations, good morning, and says that I want to get more Eastern gray tree frogs. I haven't heard of those.
They're cute.
I'm going to video the whole thing of me building this paludarium. So
nice.
From the get-go, like I said, I haven't had time. Summer hit. I was going to do it this past winter, and then I was waiting on the wood, and then had to wait for Aquashella to get the wood, and then I was going to do it when I got back, and then summer hit like big time, and my work schedule just went through the roof, and I just haven't had time. And I feel so bad because I'm still keeping them in a 10-gallon, but hopefully soon I can move them.
It works.
Yeah, you just got to change just paper towels every day.
Yeah. Oh, I do not miss that. I do the quarantine process with my red-eyed tree frogs, and while I thought the quarantine would be like a month, and then they turned out to have the 4 from Josh's frogs. The way that I found out they were sick is that one ended up with an anal prolapse, and it was like, okay, I already knew. I'm like, these aren't acting normal. I knew there was a problem. I contacted Josh's frogs. They're like, oh no, it's fine. It's how your husbandry. So they had me send photos, and then it was like, oh, it's not your husbandry. No, because I researched for a year, more than a year before I got this. I mean, the research I put into these, this was not an impulse. So I was like, everything was set up perfect. And I'm neurotic about things being clean with that. So paper towels every night, changing the water, everything clean, new crickets, new everything. And I knew something was wrong with them. And they go through the whole, oh, it's your husbandry. Well, I finally, after the second one died, I'm like, I'll find a local vet. So I found a vet, and they did a fecal test. They're like, yeah, it was, the first wasn't nematodes, it was dinoflagellates. And so we cured the 2 remaining frogs of that. And then I took in another fecal sample to make sure. And they're like, there's also nematodes in there. They just couldn't see it over the dinos. Dinoflagellates were so heavy that's the other thing wrong with them. So I'm like, oh, Josh's frogs, by the way, didn't give any craps. The people I talked about, I told them, I'm like, because they needed to treat their frogs. It's not that I'm mad that it happened. It's like, just, you need to know this is, dismissed it completely.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was frustrating. But they, so I treated them, and that's when I ended up with Glitch. She was overdosed from the levomycin that she was treated with that, and that's how that whole story started. But my other frogs, when I got replacements, because I thought I was going to lose Glitch, so I contacted JJ. I got frogs from her, and I had everybody in quarantine. It was for so many months, because trying to get one of them was not getting over.
Yeah.
Months of every night, like it was an hour every night of going through and changing everybody's paper towels, and I don't miss it, is the point of that story.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I can't wait to get them in their vivarium. And then I have the old one that I had them in a vivarium that I built, and then I was told from the guy that I bought them from that oh no, you're supposed to keep them on paper towels in a tote and till they're at least 1.5 inches big. And I'm like, oh shit.
No.
So
And
I pulled them out and I put them in the 10-gallon tank, and that's where they've been since. And I actually broke the glass on the old one, so they gotta wait till I get the new one built.
There are a lot of breeders who only do the sterile environment. The problem is when they're kept too sterile like that on paper towels, and I found this out the hard way, if any bacteria is introduced, and it can be introduced from a cricket, because again, I am neurotic about, I'm distilled water and then spring water for the water they soak in, but distilled water for everything else. I am like, and one got a bacterial infection, and I did more research after. I'm like, how? It most likely was because he had not been exposed to, he was in too sterile of an environment his entire life. So when he finally was exposed to a bacteria, he couldn't handle it. I'm like, so at that point, at least put.
And then they go to school and they get
sick. So I put, exactly. So I put and the other one that was still in quarantine at the time, I just put a plant in there. So at least there's some soil, there's some, and it was one that had, no fertilizers and all that.
Right.
But that I did until he got moved into the bigger vivarium. But even when they're little, they can be in it. The thing you do want to watch with tree frogs, a lot of people make this mistake. They'll either use bark or they'll do moss. They'll ingest the moss when they catch the crickets. Do not put them on moss. They should be on like an actual, there's soil that they sell for at the bottom of these tanks. And then leaf litter. Everything's covered in leaf litter. So
I've got plants in there with it that's going to go in their vivarium, because I just kind of picked them up. I didn't have anything to go, so I just put it in there with them. But
that's good.
I do have some moss, but they don't ever get on it. Like,
don't bother with the moss. Get rid of it.
Okay.
It can harbor bacteria anyway, so it's something that's but not good bacteria. It's like, but the main thing is if they go for a cricket, you don't want them ingesting that, because they're So the moss is just pointless with these guys.
Okay, I didn't know that either, because they
and the vivarium will
in the vivariums and the paludariums.
There is so much information that is just not good for these frogs. Like I was really lucky. I found a guy who's in Holland, I believe, and he's the one who knew all about the parasites. He's sending me videos of what it looks like, how to identify it, how to do the fecal I worked in an animal hospital before, so I know how to do fecals anyway, so that helped. But it'd been years, so he walked me through everything, and I was very lucky to find somebody who was willing to teach me everything I needed to know, because there was so much information that, bad information out there. But moss, even with dart frogs are the only ones, like live moss, if you want moss to live, dart frogs would be the ones that would have humidity high enough. So those would be one thing. But like your squishy moss, that's your tree frogs, if you're keeping humidity high enough to keep that moss wet, your humidity's too high and you're going to cause a bacterial infection. So it's like, there's no benefit. Don't use it.
I'll be daggum. Is there a site you recommend to get good info on frog keeping?
Unfortunately, no. Most of what I found, it was like I had to find an individual who could help me and walk me through stuff. So I do like JJ the Frog Girl on YouTube. She's got great information too on treating disease. So if you do run into a problem, she's wonderful. And she's the only breeder I go with now. There was a frog for dendrobates.com, dendrosomething.com. I don't know. There is a forum. They have Facebook's the worst. Facebook groups for individual frogs, group frogs. You will have more. You're going to get 20 bits of bad information to one maybe useful. So this is
JJ the Frog Girl?
She's the one I would go to. Her, the bio dude, I actually do like the bio dude. He's more dart frogs, I believe, but he works.
He's an air. I like him. I don't like him. I like his
I've never met
stuff.
him.
He is an arrogant son of a gun.
Is he?
I will say that on this thing. Yes. Yeah. I won't go any further, but
yeah.
yes.
One thing I learned, the one thing I liked from him, or that I found to be interesting, is everyone says red-eyed tree frogs have an average lifespan of 5 years, 4 to 5 years. And I thought this doesn't seem very long. He has some that are still breeding that are over 15.
Dang.
That were wild caught when he got them. You know why?
Yeah.
He deworms annually. Because he does the thing that no one else is doing. And it's like, I'm not going to just deworm, and especially after having the issue with glitch. I'll only do it if they're coming up positive. But it just shows the importance. Their lifespan should be so much longer, but we're losing these frogs very, very early on because people don't acknowledge that this is a thing that needs to be done for care.
Or like that, or at reptile shows and stuff like that, are not passing this information on so that they can sell more frogs?
I don't even think they know, but a lot of the reptile shows, these are flippers. Those are wild caught. So much at the reptile shows are wild caught. So, I mean, Josh's frogs, they're captive bred, but they dismiss any possibility that their animals could be sick, even though I can tell you firsthand they are. Yeah. And I'm not saying don't buy from them. I'm saying do a fecal, buy the animal and know that you need to quarantine it and you need to do a fecal test. And I would do this for anybody. I do it for JJ, and I love JJ, but I'm still going to double check because it happens. Sure. So they're...
And those are your frogs that you're putting in your hands and in your responsibility.
And I don't want to make my other animals sick. So, but a lot of the stuff at these reptile shows, they're selling like adult red-eyed tree frogs. They were wild caught. In my opinion, there is no excuse for buying wild caught frogs when they're captive bred so easily, and they're so easily to get a captive bred frog. The fact that the only people who should take a captive bred frog is a breeder who is using it to diversify their genetic pool.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't even know why this is legal. Like, it's just... it's crazy to me what we're doing with that. But a lot of these reptile shows, they're wild caught. If you get wild caught, 100% that frog is full of parasites.
Yeah.
So that's just something to know. And captive bred, it's probably got parasites. Wild caught, guaranteed.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I am so glad just for that you came on. Because, man, I need to get a, well, I have a friend that's a biologist and a zoologist. So I'll get him to do the fecal for me. And he can get the medicine for me as well. But dang, I sure didn't know that. I hope that's not why I lost them, but I hope that
well, you wouldn't know. Nobody talks about it. Everybody acts like, oh, captive bred, you're fine. They get it from the crickets. They all eat crickets.
Right. Now, how did the crickets get it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
And there's no way to get clean crickets. There's no, there are parasite free. There's just no.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, the only thing we can do is do these annual fecal tests and then treat if needed.
Silver, I may have said, but I also used to have some fire belly toads. I implemented some minor on the bottom of the tank, so you could see their red bellies. This was a great tank. That's the site of the frog keeping. Recommend a good info. Is there a site you recommend to get good info on frog keeping? Oh, that's the one we just did. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just came on and just learned a ton in less than a minute. That's right. Shale, good morning. Good to see you. Been a while. Okay, so we hung out on the frogs, but I knew we were going to because I love them, and I'm gonna get more too. But all right, so other than frogs, what else?
I've got my 2 greyhounds.
Your 2 greyhounds.
And a bearded dragon.
And a bearded dragon. Now the greyhounds.
Oh, and my husband has a snake.
Right? Are they? You bought as puppies, or are they?
They're retired racers. Well, they both flunked out of racing school, so I got them. They were only 18 months when I got them.
Oh wow!
They're not
running them before then.
Well, they start training before then.
Okay.
And I guarantee you, Gibson failed because he has delayed reaction super fast. You get him running, and he is off. But he looks at you, throw a toy, and he looks at it. He waits. He's looking around and he waits and then he goes. But I'm like, you would fail. And then Wade is afraid of, the bad cow is afraid of everything. He's gotten better. But I think he was so skittish about stuff like, oh, a noise, that's scary. And then he wants to run to people for safety. Like that's his mind, his people are safe. Yeah. And so I can't imagine him. And his hips, I don't love the way that his hips and patellas are put together. So like, conformation wise, I just don't think he would have been a successful racer anyway. So I think I suspect that's why both of them failed racing school.
That's cool though. That I like, they're so pretty. They're like, once they get running, it's just it's graceful once they get up to speed to me to watch them.
Yeah. Yeah, but when they're running around in your backyard, they're just derpy. Oh my gosh, they're the biggest derps watching these boys. They have a blast, but it is not. You get these animals, like they show the photos of greyhounds and you watch the videos and you're like, oh, they're so majestic. And you get them and they're like laying on their back, legs in the air, farting. That is what you have at a greyhound. Like they call them 40 miles or 45 mile. Yeah, they're 45-mile-an-hour couch potatoes. Like there's very little that's graceful about these dogs.
Yep. Well, it's good to think of them being graceful once they get up to speed, though. But I can see being home, being, their own nature coming out in them. So, what kind of snake does your husband have?
He's got a Western hognose, snowmorph. Cool. I don't know. She's bitey. I don't hold her. He loves her, but I don't trust her. Yeah. She's really food driven. She's not mean. Yeah. Like she's perfectly friendly, but she's like, oh, that moved. That must be food. So all the time, it doesn't matter how much you feed this girl. So yeah, her and then the bearded dragon are. Okay. I think that's it. Caleb that needs to be all.
Yeah. Caleb asks, "Hey Lisa, I have some Blue Beauty rat snake eggs. Do you want one?"
No more animals. I thank you. I actually no more animals. A little bit I do, but no, I have enough to take care of.
Caleb also says that his hognose is the same way.
Okay, good. Driven. Yeah, she's cool. I like to look at her. I like the animals, like the frogs, my fish. I really like, even my canary. I like the animals that I take care of, but I don't necessarily have to hold and have that like constant like the dogs. Like I already have the dogs. I don't need more critters that want that constant being held. So like fish are perfect. I feed them. Well, I feed them constantly, but I probably overfeed. Hi, I wonder why my phosphates are so high. But those are my kind of pets. My husband wants the hands-on. I want to hold them. So he's with the other birds, not like the canary you don't hold. You just watch them fly around in circles. But yeah. Like Caleb says, I like the animals that don't talk. Mostly I'm with you on that. I like the canary. The other birds, they're talking I could do without.
So the other birds talk like us? Or do they
sort of. Chicken says big chicken, and he mostly whistles because he's a cockatiel, so he whistles the Game of Thrones song. Awesome. But he screws up the ending, which I think is hilarious because I'm like, oh, you're like the writers. But no, Chicken's song, his theme song is Game of Thrones. He just sings it constantly and tells you he's a big chicken. And then Nugget, the little parrotlet, he talks a lot. Like, oh my gosh, they're the smallest. There's a fungus gnat in here. They're the smallest of the parrots, and he is a talker and he's hilarious. But you have to know, it's kind of like listening to a toddler learning to talk. You have to know what he's trying to say to know what he's saying. Like if you listen to it, you're like, what is that? That bird is hilarious. And then Sushi, the Indian ringneck, it's a female, so it's a female who's bonded to my husband, and they don't learn as well from male voices. So she whistles, she learns from the other birds, so she says what they say.
I wonder why she doesn't listen from or learn from you, even though you're in there.
I avoid her. No, because we do not spend time together. She is not my favorite I call her the blue turkey. She's so Indian ringnecks are going to bond to what they're very like one person, and so Matt is obviously her person. So she's with him all the time, and she doesn't want me near her person. So her and I are just like I take care of her when like in the mornings when my husband's at work, I uncover her and feed her. But yeah, it's her and I aren't buddies. She'll fly and come visit occasionally, but mostly I'm trying to chase her away because she wants to mess with Chicken. She thinks it's funny to chase him, which I don't think is funny. Yeah. So we have to work. I'm constantly like, if I'm in there, like get away from back off, leave Chicken alone because he's a big pansy.
Yeah. Cool. Mama Call talks way too much. Caleb has got like a ton of animals. He's got monkeys also.
Oh,
For those that
wow.
didn't know that, yeah. He's one of my kids, but I substitute teach, and he goes to the same school my son does. And I met Caleb, and it was in one of the classes, and we just got to talking because he's got the horses, and I've got horses, and then we just got to be friends. And so then he saw the show, but yeah, he's got monkeys and all kinds of stuff. But okay, so we've got fish, saltwater fish, freshwater fish. We've got dart frogs. Are the red-eyed tree frogs considered dart frogs?
No, they're a
They're
tree
not.
frog.
Okay. Snake, hognose snake, and 4 birds, and the 2 dogs.
Yes, and the bearded dragon.
And the bearded dragon. That's right, the bearded dragon. How did the bearded dragon come along?
I had wanted one for a while. Actually, I wanted my husband to get one because I wanted him to take care of it, but I wanted to play with it. So we have our own. He takes care of the birds, minus the canaries. Mine. I do the fish and the frogs. Like we have our own. Like who takes care of what animal, so it's not too overwhelming. But I wanted him to get a bearded dragon. Every time we had them back in California 20 years ago. So I'd wanted one forever, and finally he convinced me that I should get one, and if I put it in my art studio, then he'll help take care of her. But it has to go in my studio. Okay. Not once. Not once. So, yeah, she's mine. But she was sickly when she was younger. I think there's a virus that is very common with bearded dragons, and it causes neurological disorders and different things, and the shaking and the weird stuff. And she's always been off. So she never had a lot of energy until I got her last August. So she's about a year now, and she's not the size she should be at all. She'd eat, but she was picky, and just I didn't really want to hold her because any stress brought on the shaking worse. But it wasn't just when I held her, because I would think, okay, it's just stress related. She'd be in her cage and flip over on her back and her legs are shaking. I'm like, that dragon's gonna die. And so I never posted, like I didn't share about her a lot because I didn't know how she was going to do. And the pets where I got her, the reptile place, they said they'd take her back or exchange her. And I'm like, well, she's already here. If she's got the virus, she's already infected that tank. There's no, I would have to get all new stuff anyway, but also why not let her see how she does? Maybe she'll come up. I started giving her, odd enough, dandelions out of my backyard. So I know no neighbors' pesticides have gotten on it or anything. So I pulled dandelions out of there. It was the first time in my life I've loved dandelions, but besides painting them. But I started feeding her those, and I don't know what happened, but from that she started, the shaking got less, and she turned, and she is the biggest pig now. She eats constant, she's active, and it's like I knew something was wrong with her, because seeing how she is now versus how she was then, like what a change in this animal. And she's alert. She is like, I go to feed her and she just dives in. You have to watch she doesn't get your fingers because she's so excited about it. Wow. She sheds almost constantly now because she's growing so fast. I don't think she's going to ever be as big as a normal dragon because she had such a late start. But yeah, so that's why there's not a lot of photos of her, because I didn't know if she would make it, and it was sad. I didn't want to get super detached. I kind of tried to distance myself, but also I want you to live. So yeah, I dewormed her. That didn't make any difference. I don't think she was fine anyway, but I was like, well, just in case, let's give you some, I've got it here. Let's try that. Nothing mattered for whatever reason with the dandelions, that I don't know if it cleanses. I know that there's a lot of natural benefits to dandelions, but that was when we started seeing a change in her. And
is when you quit feeding them?
No, when I started feeding dandelions.
You started feeding
this spring when dandelions.
Aren't they they are a
medicinal.
Reliever,
there's a ton of things of health benefits to dandelions. So, and I'm sure there's stuff we don't know. I don't know, but that is what the change was in her. That was it's the only thing I can think of that changed. And you wouldn't. Me and my husband, we still it's crazy watching her. That is not the same animal.
And so it could do something to them that it would do different to us.
Yeah. But for whatever reason, so yeah, whether it be the anti-inflammatory aspect, I don't know, but I hardly see her do the shaking thing anymore, and that dragon is active. So that's pretty encouraging. I'm excited. So, I mean, it'd be nice if my husband held up his end of the deal and helped take care of her, but whatever.
Nano asks why dandelions. Don't know. Not sure.
Don't know. They're good. We know that they're good for them. We know that she loves them. She likes the flower, and they say only give the flower that's the candy part. Give it once a week. Yeah. Oh no! If I've got a dandelion, you're getting all of it because It works for, and she was so underweight at the time that anything she would eat, and especially if it was higher calorie. So, I mean, she's got bee pollen on her salad. Now she eats her salad. She's such a good eater now. So
how do you buy? Do you buy the dandelions, or you go get them from your yard?
I got them from my yard, and I don't like to use pesticides as much as possible. I am going to pull. I'm weird. I actually enjoy pulling weeds, so there's that. But not in the front yard, but in the backyard. The front yard does not look great right now.
I can't stand it.
So yeah, I was using that. Like if I was going to pull a dandelion, I may as well feed it to the dragon. So yeah, and I ended up though because she eats them too fast, and so I did actually buy, which my friends that are into lawn care make fun of me for this, but I bought a pack of dandelion seeds. I'm like, I'm buying weeds. What in the world? So I want to start growing them so she has them to have on a regular basis.
I mean, it's understandable. There we go. There's Brooklyn. The flower is very high in vitamin D. Dandelions are a powerhouse medicine for humans and pets.
I believe it. I am 100% believer on that after seeing the change in this animal.
I thought that we've kind of talked about it. Brooklyn is our I don't know how you say it. Our medical horticulturist person. She knows all about all of the different vitamins and plants that do the vitamins and everything, weeds and medicine.
Yeah, I do. Like I see a natural doctor for me, so it's nice to have something that seems to be working for the dragon.
Right. That's crazy. Well, Lisa, do you happen to have, because I don't know, you said you were in your studio, do you happen to have any of your art around that you could show?
I can pull up photos on this.
You can do that. Yeah, I can.
Can we change?
Yeah.
Let's see.
So what you would do is you pull up. Yeah, you share under present on the bottom.
Okay.
And then you share your screen, and at the top it'll have 3 different ways.
Sharing is easiest with 2 monitors. Okay, don't show me these tips again. Share screen.
And so it should send it to me, and then I put it up.
Okay. Window.
You may have to have it already pulled up on your computer.
Okay,
and
I
then
see. Let me get these.
Pulling weeds is an awesome hobby. Oh, Mike. What's up, Mike? Our Aquatic Universe with Mike B. I met him at Aquashella Dallas also.
Okay. I see why it says it's better with 2 screens. Let me do that really quick. You're going to get that one.
How many screens do you have?
I have 2 because of my one's a tablet for drawing.
Do you have one of those that looks? It's like a camera that looks down. There you go. Here it is.
So there's one of mine, and I've got a few. Let me. There's the button I'm looking for. So my octopus petting orcas, another octopus. So blue ring.
And what's up at the top?
Of the blue ring, hammerhead sharks.
Hammerheads, okay, hammerheads. That's cool.
We've got birds. I love Haiti birds and glowing mushrooms. I've been obsessed with lately.
Oh, did you get them? Did you get any glowing mushrooms from Houston Frogs?
No, last year at Aquashella, I did get mushrooms, and then I forgot about them, and it just didn't work out. So I did not do that this year.
I did. I got some. I got to put them up in the new vivarium, but yeah. Oh, look at the lionfish.
So lots of dolphins. More dolphins. This one hangs above my reef tank. That one's here in the office. This one's a big one.
That was the other one that was my favorite. That one and the lion one.
I don't think I've got the lion one pulled up.
That one. I didn't see that one. The clownfish.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know if I had postcards with me or not.
Well, I got 2 postcards, but I didn't see that one. Oh,
if I find them, I'll have to send you some.
Look at
the deer with coral.
That's cool. I mean, who would have ever thought that?
Sea turtles. This one's in my dining area.
Those
I
are
love
so
turtles.
pretty too. I love them also. I love the sea turtles. You ever watch where they catch them and they pull all that stuff off the back?
Yes. Yeah, I've been seeing that on Instagram lately.
Yeah. That's pretty.
Is that it? I think that's the end of the row. I think I have, I don't know
Black
if you're
powder
able to see
Oh, wow. Oh, my
So
goodness. Is that a big clownfish?
Yeah, clowns get big. People don't realize how big they get. They're not
Wow.
small critters.
Are those the black and white?
I've got a black storm in there, that
Okay.
little guy up front, and then I've got a helmeted Picasso in the back.
Okay.
There's my female, is the one in the back there. And then the black storm, that big green leather that you see up in the top kind of left-hand corner, that's his. He likes to roll around and play in that coral.
Oh, wow. That is huge coral, too. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that one's big. I've actually got a lot of leathers in there right now that are just starting to grow that'll fill in those back corners. So, yeah, I'm excited to see. I've got to get my phosphates down. My phosphates have been through the roof, so my coral growth has been on the lower end.
Yeah.
But I've got to work. I'm working on that. But, yeah, that is...
My phosphates, that's why I had the red algae so bad. It's because my phosphates were too high, and they stayed that way.
Yeah, that'll do it. And it's hard because it soaks into the sand and the rocks, and then it leaches out. So you've got to use, I've got a few different methods I'm going with right now to lower them. I'm obsessive with water changes, but it's like if it's already in the rock, then it's going to leach out. So I'm using, what is it? Hold on. I've got it over here, I believe. I can't, Phosguard. I don't need to pull it out. I've got some Phosguard. I've got my Fritz, what is it? Fritz Max Out, that filtration. I've got polyfilter in there, and then the water changes don't really pull down the phosphates because they're in the rock.
Sand and rock.
So the sand and rock. So, but I do the 15 gallon water change once a week on here because I'm obsessive anyway. So
yep, that's pretty. Who did your rock? Did you scape it yourself?
No, actually. Do you know Evie with Fritz? Sean's girlfriend, she did it. So they set this tank up. I didn't set it up. They set it up for me. They did a video with George, and she did the aquascaping. She asked what kind of corals I wanted. I wanted the softies, and then what kind of fish. I knew I wanted the one tang who is currently going back and forth on the glass over there in the back corner. But yeah, she set it up so that he had all the holes to swim through, and so the specifically for the softies. You can't really see the middle section, or that whole middle column in the dark there is full of mushrooms. So that's I'm obsessed with. I like the easy coral. So softies, mushrooms are one of my favorites. So I've got a ton of those in there.
And zoas?
Lots of zoas,
Zoas. I like zoas.
Me too.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
So, what size tank is it?
This one's an 83.
83.
And then the sump, I think, is 20 gallons.
Okay. What do you have in the sump? Is it just it has just compartments?
Yeah, it has the compartments. So like the heater's in there. I've got my macroalgae is in there. So the refugium. I've got the filter sock, which probably needs to be changed today. Protein skimmer.
Yeah.
And the UV sterilizer.
Yeah. See, I did not have a UV sterilizer on mine, which probably would have helped a ton.
Yeah, I found that it does help with the cyanobacteria. Not always. I mean, I've gotten cyano on mine, and I run a UV sterilizer all the time when things are out of balance. But it doesn't last long. All I do for cyano when it pops up, I don't have that in this tank anymore. But like when I had in the coral quarantine tank, I just take a turkey blaster and once a day just squish it up and keep the flow, keep higher flow, and then just squish it out. Not squish it, but like squirt it. Yeah. It'll poof up, and it'll eventually balance itself out. I know a lot of people use ChemiClean. The problem with that, you strip so much, you can cause so much damage by using those that you end up causing dinos. And if you get dinos, that is an algae that some of them are super toxic, and you will lose your inverts or any fish that eat it. Some of them are not super toxic, but I've watched people battle that for years. It is all because they went the chemical route on something that they probably could have solved easier.
Now, what color is dinos?
Usually like a slimy brown, like a rusty brown. So it's not the same as diatoms.
Yeah.
And then there's other things. I mean, it's kind of like a cyanobacteria, but it's kind of a rusty brown. I get that occasionally, but it's more of a cyano type thing, like a bacterial. You've got a few different things. That look kind of similar, but dinos will usually have like these snot streams going up and bubbles that will stick to them. So that's when you see the snot streamers and bubbles, that's when you're like, okay, that's probably dinos, and that's going to be some drama.
Okay.
So, but
Nice.
yeah.
I will try that. The shimmering light is awesome too.
Yeah, I love the lights on these. My friend calls it, or says my tank looks like Windex because you get the blue, like the heavy blue. But he uses metal halides. I say his looks like a pea tank. So it's kind of an ongoing joke. But yeah, these are the Kessels, the tuna blues.
Yeah.
I love that shimmer. I love
Yes.
that tone. And this video, I had to turn the blues aren't as high as I usually have them just so I could have the video of it. But
Right.
normally it's a bit more blue and the corals are a bit more fluorescent than what you see here.
Yeah. Yeah. They make lenses you can put over your cameras to make it blue out so you can actually see the
I can't get those to look good. This is just taken with my phone and I move the white balance all the way up to like 10K and that gives, and then adjust the lights on the tank. Like that gives me better results. When I have tried, I did not have good luck with those. I have all the orange filters for my good cameras, for everything. And it's, I guess that's it for that. But it's, I can't get those to work well.
No, it's fine.
Okay, there you go. So I can close this.
Well, let me start over. We do have a fishery today. It's about 10 minutes, so that'll get us almost to the end of the show. But let's do that, and we'll come back and wrap it up. Right. Here we go, you guys. Fishery with Alex from The Secret History, living in your aquarium. Go check him out. Make sure you're subscribed. And make sure that I do the volume.
Talk to you.
There we go.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Alexander Williamson, and I'm here with Fishery to talk to you about some incredible new fish that have been discovered. Now, I'm not going to talk about all the freshwater fish that have been discovered in the last 2 months, but I wanted to talk about some of the highlights and some of the beautiful fish that have been discovered, from killifish in South America and Africa that are just rainbow colored and incredible, to a new rice fish, actually several new rice fish possibly, to a whole bunch of new fish in the Rift Lakes, Lake Malawi, Lake Edwards, and then also several other satellite lakes of those Rift Lakes. And also new identification that's coming down due to a reshuffling of existing species that were known. But we're going to get into all of that. We're going to talk about tons and tons of fish that are being discovered in South America and Southeast Asia as well,
including one found under Hangzhou in China,
which is a giant city in China that, 10, 15 million people in the metro area. And underneath, they find this incredibly beautiful new tiny nano cyprinid. Probably going to take the hobby by storm if they can, spawn it in captivity. Anyways, we'll get there. But I want to start by telling you some of the stories of these fish and not telling you all the scientific details like the Latin names and the scientist who led it and the exact river it was found in and all that. We can do that in species spotlights. But today I want to talk about kind of the interesting stories. And we're going to talk about at least 20 or 30 species in this short video. But let's talk about the year is 1932. Scientists are on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. And there are European scientists studying the fish of the island of Sulawesi, which is known now for its beautiful shrimp and the massive biodiversity that is found there. There are dozens and dozens of shrimp found in these tiny lakes that are dated to the ancient early Pleistocene period, and they've been cut off and they've been in their own ecosystem ever since. Well, in the 1930s, they were being studied, these lakes, and the biodiversity was being studied, and it was found that there were 2 or 3 rice fish there for sure. And they knew that there were 3 main lakes, 4th kind of lake. If you look at this system during the wet season, it's kind of a wetland marsh. And they knew that there were 2 species of rice fish that were definitely going to be found there and need a Latin name. Well, in 1938, while they're working on the other fish they're finding in the area, the Japanese overtake the region as a colonial power, as an invading power, and fairly brutally, which I feel like isn't too controversial of a thing to say. It was very harsh, and the people left often just with whatever they could carry on their backs on a boat out of the island. And if they were local islanders, a lot of times they were put into work camps and all sorts of terrible things. The more remote they were, usually the better they fared, honestly. But 1938 rolls around and progress stops on naming these species. Well, ever since then, that region has still been fairly remote, honestly. It was almost less remote because you didn't need, nowadays to travel, you get on a 747, like the one flying above my backyard right now, and you land in a big city, then you go to a smaller city, and you need these airport systems and things. Whereas back then, you'd get on a steamer ship, and it would, take you around the world, and you would, in the 1930s, and you could say, I want to hop off on that island. So in a way, it was a little more connected to trade some of those places back then. Other ways, not at all, like internet and things. But anyways, so that fish, it gets left and forgotten, and people just assume there's two kinds of rice fish over there. Well, then they pick the thought back up in the 1990s, and they say, hey, I think there's three kinds of rice fish here. Well, now they realize that there's four kinds of rice fish, and one of them goes in between all of the lakes, and it's shared amongst all of those lakes in that little region on the island of Sulawesi. And the team that is discovering these little fish happens to be headed by Japanese people and working in conjunction with European taxonomy and naming folks, as well as publishing groups. And I don't know, it just feels kind of poetic that everything kind of comes around full circle like that. So let's go through a few more of these stories and talk about a few more of these cool fish that were just found recently. And so let's talk about the other fish that have been found in the last few months. Take a look at them, and you guys can decide. Let me know also, out of these fish, which ones are you guys liking? Give me the minute time mark or the timestamp of when the fish is, if it doesn't have the name with it, because like I said, I'm not going to get into all the details that may be on the screen, but I will save that for a species spotlight. So let's keep on going down the list, and let's head back across the world or continuing back around the world and talk about some South American fish that are also very ancient. All right, so back around to South America, we're going to be talking about Loricariidae and Suliiformes, all sorts of different fish, including Corydoras, and all sorts of different things like Farawallas. They have been discovering so many fish, literally multiple fish a week by different teams, searching throughout mostly the Brazilian Amazon, but also the Peruvian Amazon, the Guianan Shield, and the Orinoco Basin up into Colombia as well. Hans Evers and Ian Fuller, who are very well-known catfish and specifically Corydoras ichthyologist specialists. Ian Fuller of the UK runs Catfish Planet, and Hans Evers was the guy who actually was just over here at my house in Seattle speaking to our club about Sulawesi. So this guy travels the world. He sees so many different fish. We're going to try to get him on the channel sometime because this guy is an incredible wealth of knowledge. But anyways, back to the fish. He has labeled the Corydora CW111 and I think the CW126. And there's also a third one as well. So they recently are giving Latin names finally to some of these CW species, as well as other teams are giving names to Apistogramma species, the A numbers. And the Apistogramma and the Corydoras are two of the most widespread genuses of all of South America. However, there is another one that is focused on cichlids that is found in the Andean basin and in the Andean foothills, as well as some of the midland to lowland. They call it lowland, but that's deceiving because lower than the lowland is the Amazon rainforest, but they call it the lowland. So we're talking at a few thousand feet, maybe 1,000 meters or so elevation, and some spots even higher. There's an isolated pocket where they're living even higher. But this fish, they've seen that it's evolved in the proto-Amazon. So in the Amazon before the Amazon we know now, when it flowed a different way south, and actually it may have even been on a different part of the continental divide and flowed out to the Pacific at some point. And so they're using these fish, their genetics and their body types, to tell them about just little morphological changes. And each river has disseminated throughout time as there's floods and as there's landslides and as things change and river bends cut their way through different pathways and
So yeah, I kind of cut it off halfway there in the middle of a sentence, but that's an 18-minute or 16-minute video, and we'll just watch the rest of it Monday. So Mark Sterlson, thank you very, very much for the $5 super sticker, and thank you very much. So thank you very much. And Lisa, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sorry it took 3 tries for it to happen, but
no, it was only 2. This was only, and you couldn't help a power outage and internet. So
dude,
no worries.
That was something. I mean, I think it hit. Do you live in like Dallas, or you live above Dallas or south of Dallas?
North of Dallas.
So
we had the storms that night, but we didn't get hit as bad as you did, but it was a crazy night.
There were a lot of tornadoes north of Dallas, and that same storm just kept on building. And when it hit us, it hit the airport at 135 miles an hour. So yeah, that's hurricane, but beyond hurricane force winds, because we've gotten hurricane force winds, and they was nothing like what we had here. But yeah, it was definitely something. That was like worse than any of the ice storms we've ever had.
Yeah, I thought we were going to lose power. I thought I'd be the one having to flake on you, because I was setting up that night and the storms and the lightning. I'm like, I think I'm wasting my time right now. I don't think this is.
Yep.
Yeah, it was bad.
Definitely. Well, you guys, it has been 2 hours, and I want to thank Miss Lisa again for joining me. I'll have to have you on again. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And maybe we can inspire some of your art.
I need to do some freshwater work for sure.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot. I've done some goldfish. A goldfish actually was my logo for many, many years, but I've done some goldfish, and I've done a beta, and or a couple betas. That's about it for no, that's not true. I did all the artwork for the Aquatiella badges. So there's a the bumpy head one. Yeah. I don't know freshwater. There's a few things, some cichlids and stuff I've done. So Tetris. And I have done some freshwater.
I didn't even get a badge. I had one up there. I just never went and got it.
Oh no,
Aquatiella. But dang, I wish I would have known at that time that you had done it. I would have went and got it. Yes, Jerry, you're gonna have to catch the replay, but working does that sometimes. Oh my goodness, Greg, thank you very much. A $20 super again, there we go. Super chat. Do you ever start talking fast enough that your brain doesn't catch up with your mouth? Your mouth goes faster than your brain.
I'm reverse. If I try talking slow, that's what happens.
Really?
Yeah, I cannot talk slow because my brain's still like 3 conversations ahead, and my mouth is back here, and it just turns into a mess.
The Nano Aquarium guy, will she be at Aquatiella Daytona? And no.
Just Dallas. I have too many animals here to take care of, and I've got so much to do with all of the YouTube videos. I mean, that's what I do full time. So much work for that traveling to do art shows is not something I don't travel at all anymore. So
right. Well, Greg, Miss Lisa, we're going to go out with the dance for Greg and the $20 super chat, and then after that, we'll play the outro, which just to let you know, the outro is of my very first channel, which is called Manes, Tails, Fur, and Fins, which actually used to produce the Aquatic Morning Show. So the Aquatic Morning Show came from my original channel, but it outgrew Manes, Tails, Fur, and Fins. So it kind of just shows that and me and all that. But anyway, it's beyond our 2-hour mark, you guys. Thank you so much for being here today, and we'll be back Monday. And yes, Caleb will be on the show on the 11th, so he'll get to show us all of his animals, I hope. And don't forget to go to Miss Lisa's Patreon and her YouTube channel and check her out when she is live as well. Make sure you're subscribed to her. So everybody, thank you very much. See you then.